Ladies and gentlemen, we've just witnessed Manchester City beat Arsenal 4-1, a result that James called correctly, unfortunately. We're actually kind of privileged tonight as well. James does not particularly want to be on camera. James does not particularly want to be asked questions by me. But I've said this is what the people want to see. We want to see the happiness, but you also want to see the sadness as well. It's the boring stuff in the middle that people don't want to see. So, James, I will try and keep it as quick as I can. I do apologize. Initial reactions, you did call this result correctly to the number 4-1, the result that you called correctly. What are your initial reactions here just as we start recording here?
You know, as I was just thinking, Jack, as you were talking, you mentioned how you go through the good and you go through the bad. I realized it would be coward of me not to want to step up and talk to you guys, because I've had it all season where when we beat Tottenham, when we beat United or like wherever, you've had a lot of good moments this season, and then you should have the capabilities to come on, and talk when things are going bad too. And yeah, Jack, could you just ask that question again? There's so much stuff going on.
No. Just I'm kind of just giving you the floor, to be honest with you, mate. Just initial reactions, thoughts. I mean, you can take it whatever way you want. Is the league gone? What did you think of the performance? Any players stick out to you? Did City deserve it? Anything? The floor is yours. I just want you to go for a bit.
I feel that any person who watched that game knows City were by far the best team. It wasn't really close. The scoreline says 4-1, could have been 7-1, could have been 8-1, could have been 8-0. City were absolutely brilliant. I didn't even see Arsenal's goal. Unfortunately, I got to see all four of Manchester City's goals. But overall, Manchester City dominated that game. It was men against boys. It was a team who understood how to play that occasion, how to play in that sort of environment, while another team didn't really understand it. And we mentioned, Jack, before about the managers and tactically where could think about it, where could both teams go. Manchester City tactically got it wrong. Jack, not only on the ball, Jack, but especially off the ball. They dominated our Arsenal off the ball. It wasn't an aggressive press where like the closest man to the ball, try and win it, wait for him, think about it, wait for him, he'll make a mistake. It was a thing, actually go at him, he'll make a mistake. It was a thing where they sat back and cut off all the passing lanes for Arsenal to play through them. And then think about it, the player on the ball, like when he was trying to play through, had no real passing lane. So he's waiting on the ball. He's waiting to find a pass and seeing, think about it. Zinchenko isn't opening there. Thomas Partey isn't an option there. You know what? I'm going to go back to the goalkeeper. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go sideways. And think about it, when it constantly, when it constantly plucked all the passing lanes, it stopped us from playing, it stopped us from playing through. And like the biggest thing is that when you're waiting on the ball for 10, 15 seconds and not really moving, what are you going to do, right? You're going to go long into an area that you don't want to play into, or like Jack, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to try to force a pass that's not really there. And that's what Manchester City was able to do today. They were able to pick off, think about all the loose passes that Arsenal played through the middle and think about it, really hurt us. But secondly, Jack, it just shows you sometimes people talk about the way football's played with the tiki-taka, nice to pass and all that sort of stuff. That's what they associate with Pep Guardiola. Jack, City went long today. If you guys look how many times City went long and play into Haaland and think about they were able to play off Haaland, was amazing. They got their first goal from a long ball into Haaland, pops it into the De Bruyne. De Bruyne goes through in like score. There was one where I think it was one chance for Erling Haaland where City had a goal kick. It was played in by the centre back all the way into Haaland. Haaland turns Gabriel and he's in constantly. He's winning the first header, and it's Manchester City playing long ball football, but it's not long ball. It's directional play, which is, to me, it just shows you how different Guardiola is.
It's purposeful. And James, we've been asking for this Erling Haaland all year. We finally got to see it. 2 goals and 2 assists, 1 goal. Should have probably had a hat trick, right? This was the animal I think we've wanted to see all year. I think Pep kind of called Arteta's bluff, and Arteta didn't really have anything for it. It didn't seem. I want to get your breakdown of what we saw from the wide position today, because you got Gabriel Martinelli, who I didn't hear his name once at any point. Saka, I feel like, had opportunities to take on his fullback, but very rarely did. Always turned around, played back to his fullback or his centre mid or were always predictably cut inside. I didn't see the cutting edge from Saka, and I didn't see Martinelli at all. Can you explain that at all?
I feel like that mainly came from the matchups in like who they're against. Jack, I'm sorry, if you're a winger, the one of the players that you do not want to go against is obviously Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a nightmare matchup for a lot of people. But Kyle Walker, Jack, Kyle Walker's had his way against Mbappe, Neymar, some of the best wingers in in the world. Think about Gabriel Martinelli. He relies on speed. He relies on pace. He relies on his ability to knock a past a defender and run onto it. Not doing that against
Not
Kyle
with this
Walker.
guy.
Not with Kyle Walker, and it just showed you every single time Martinelli was able to take him on. It was so difficult. And secondly, even when the ball was switched there, Walker was always ready to press, was always ready to put Gabriel Martinelli under pressure. And secondly, Jack, you must look at the matchup for Saka too. He isn't going against a fullback. Jack, he's going against a centre back playing as a fullback, and think about it, he's very comfortable in that situation there. He probably said, it's okay, Saka, we know what Saka's going to do. He's going to cut inside. You cut inside. Yeah, I'm going to have Rodri in there as an extra body to think about it, stop you from cutting inside and like having a shot. So as he cuts inside, he sees Rodri. Jack, what is he going to do? He's going to play into Martin Odegaard, and Martin Odegaard's probably going to play back. So what City was able to do was just think about it, was just to see the matchup there and think about it, outsmart Arsenal at every single step of the way. It was so impressive from City what they were able to do off the ball, Jack. They controlled Arsenal off the ball. If I can somehow find the stats over the game overall, I just want to see the possession stats of this game.
While you look that up, the couple of the things that I just wanted to point out, which I thought were frustrating, because you and I mentioned this when we previewed the game. James, Arsenal aren't going to finish fifth. Okay, they're not. This is a top 4 football team. It's locked in. I think you need, what do you need? 1 point, 3 points to guarantee it. What frustrates me the most is if it was all quite close at the top and it was like maybe like, oh, Arsenal could still finish 5th or 6th, and it's all kind of tense, then I'd be like, oh, fair enough. I can understand like a conservative, more defensive, non-risk taking performance. The difference here is no, you're either going to finish second or you're going to finish first. So your worst case scenario is second. That to me means you play without fear, you take risks, and you go for stuff. You do stuff different. You make the game kind of bitty, right? We saw some fights at certain points. We saw some people getting in at one another. Winners know how to do the dark arts stuff. Winners know how to take the risk, play with confidence, do X, Y, and Z. And again, I want to hear you speak to this, because if I'm wrong, you tell me. I didn't see a team willing to risk it all to win today. I saw a team that just went out to try and beat a superior football team away from home in a football match. I didn't see the X factor that would have been required to get a result today.
Jack, you mentioned there about the dark arts. To me, to a certain point, that is a whole lot of BS. What matters in football is quality. Dark arts come to happen, but when you have that quality, it works. There's no point of having a bunch of league catamals there is going to run around and kick people. That don't win you nothing. Trust me, it doesn't win you nothing. The difference between Arsenal that you mentioned, the dark arts, Jack, to me is quality. Quality of football players. You have Man City have Kevin De Bruyne. Name me an Arsenal player who had the ability to do what Kevin De Bruyne did for that first goal. Was to think about it, was take it on the run and see where the goalkeeper was at and catch him up on the near post. The quality of ball into John Stones. Erling Haaland, the beast that he is, able to run off the ball, able to bully players. Arsenal just didn't have this. Arsenal just didn't have the quality. And Jack, we have to call what we see. Manchester City are, yes, they are levels above, but this Arsenal team, Jack, to a certain point, we're not as good as what people make us out to be. We really aren't. You know, Jack, we've said it on a number of occasions this year, man. Arsenal really overachieved this year, and it's Jack. It's cool to a certain point, and we can get to the new ounce of it, the new ounces of it. But Jack, overall, we're not that great of a side. And our quality is good to a certain point, to a certain level. When you go to the apex of the game where it matters the most, it's just not up for it. As I said, Jack, there's levels to this, you know what. And City showed them levels today.
I think the disappointing thing for me, and again, I feel like we've spoken about this to death now. This was Arsenal's opportunity because there are so many teams that are going to be coming next year. Chelsea will be back in some way, shape, or form, maybe with Pochettino as a coach and all these new players, right? You're going to have to deal with Christopher Nkunku. Maybe Lukaku will be back, right? Chelsea are going to be a problem, you'd imagine. Man United, Liverpool will be back with Jurgen Klopp. City will come again, right? Newcastle United up and coming. Maybe Brighton, Brentford, Aston Villa, for goodness sake, are in fifth. Spurs, you'd imagine, new manager, reinvesting some money, maybe if they sell Kane. This was Arsenal's year to take advantage of this little kind of blip, this little window that they had. And what really, for me, what would worry me is that we're potentially looking at Arsenal finishing maybe outside the top four again next year. I don't know how this team is going to react to this kind of a result. What's your faith going into next year?
I don't know. It doesn't feel good right now because I feel like we come into the same sort of feeling for the last 3 years under Mikel Arteta, where to me it's just the exact same thing happening every single year, where they build you up to let you down when it matters most. It happened in his first full season at Arsenal, where like we got to the Europa League semi-final. We should win. All we do is need a win against Villarreal to put ourselves in the final against Manchester United. What happened? We draw 0-0. We flame out. Last season, going well to get top four. Tottenham are even bottling it, and then they're handing us the opportunity. What we need, 2 wins out of our last 3 games. We lose 2 straight. We lose top four. And now in this situation where we're in a title race, Jack, we're breaking records. There was a time when we were on course to get 100 points. What happens, Jack? We flame out when it matters most. It seems to be it's just a recurring theme happening, like under Mikel Arteta. And Jack, you mentioned it. What's going to happen next season? You said it before that. This was our opportunity. We may never get this opportunity again for the next 10 or so years.
Because
As you said, teams are coming. Go on, Jack. Go on.
Well,
Go on, Jack.
no. If you win the league this year,
Oh,
everybody starts going, whoa. And then money starts coming in, new contracts, confidence. We've won it. We've been there and done it before. All this kind of stuff floods in. Now we're in a spot of like, well, do we reward people with the new contracts for the good year that they've had? Are the performances going to be as good? Are teams going to want to take advantage of the good years they've had? Players going to want to take advantage of the good years they've had and move on? It cascades into all these other problems. One thing I will say though, James, as much as this result might feel bad, or the Liverpool draw might feel bad, okay, ideally at the Etihad, maybe you want to blag a draw. Pre-season, I'm offering you, I'm the dealer, right? And I'm offering you an example of something that might happen. You might take a draw at the Etihad, but you'd probably accept losing. Not ideal, but you'd probably accept it. Liverpool playing at Anfield, a draw, fine. Southampton, West Ham. It's 4 points that shouldn't have been lost, and to me, that's where this problem has started, and those are a much bigger deal than this loss today.
100%. I feel like deep down, a lot of Arsenal fans, they kind of written this game off. It's almost like, okay, if we take care of the rest of our games, we should go on to, at least take City right to the wire. The fact that we dropped against 2 relegation sides, to me, it's almost unforgivable. It's unforgivable in this situation. And it comes down to mentality. Like, it comes down to that word that people don't like to mention, bottle. Where you don't want to give them a chance. You don't want to slip up in this situation. And yes, we did. And now we're in this predicament where we're going to finish the season really on a dud in a very good year for us overall. But to me, it isn't, because I expect the highest of the highest from this team. And you mentioned the thing about mentality. What makes everything better, what makes teams successful, what makes teams have the ability to believe that they can go on to do great things, it's not this thing of, oh, you have young players. I hear this a lot with Arsenal. We have the youngest squad in the Premier League. Oh, that's fine, guys. Don't worry. We're going to compete for the next, 5-6 years. That's cap. I've watched Arsenal teams that had Robin Van Persie, a young Robin Van Persie, a young Cesc Fabregas, a young Emmanuel Adebayor, a young Theo Walcott, a young Sami Nasri, players who are some players are some of the best players the Premier League has ever seen play for this football club at one stage. And what happened? Because we didn't go on to take that next step, because we weren't able to win that medal, they all left, and they all went to go do stuff and be successful in in like other areas. And that's what's going to happen with this squad here. People mention the fact that, oh, we have a young squad, but 3, 4 years' time, they're going to look, oh, we haven't won yet. What's going to happen then? What breeds confidence is winning. What made that Liverpool team so great was that the fact that they got like 97 points against City. But what gave them the confidence to win the league title next year wasn't the loss from City. It was the fact that they went on to win the Champions League, and that gave them a winning belief. And then they went on to win it next year. Trust me, winning gives you belief. The fact that you don't win and you constantly keep on losing, it plays down in your mind. And I look at this team right now. Do you have the mindset to go next year? Jack, you know how long and grueling the season is, and injuries, all sorts of stuff will come into it. You have an opportunity. You just got to take it. We haven't taken it, and it's just poor.
It is poor. Again, and I'm James, I'm really not trying to say this to rub salt in the wound, but again, it does form my whole perspective and on the way that I analyse and look at football. Guys, since 1992, one team without a top four wage spend has won the league. That is Leicester City. And unfortunately, this year there was a chance it could have been Arsenal with the 6th or 7th wage spend. But again, it's not going to be that case. Biggest sign of football and success in football is the money that you spend on your staff and on your first team, and again that's going to compound itself once again with all these big owners coming into football as well. This is probably going to be the biggest indicator, and until we see a trend that changes, otherwise we're going to look at the exact same thing every single season. James, it's your team. I am sorry again. I don't want to rub salt in the wound here. Is there anything you want to say? We've obviously got a lot of Spurs subscribers who are probably over the moon right now. But if we've got any Arsenal fans watching or any neutrals who, like me, James, I wanted Arsenal to win the league this year. I'll be honest with you. I wanted Arsenal to win the league this year. I'm pretty gutted myself. Not as gutted as you may be, but I'm pretty gutted. Final word with you. What did you want to say?
Congratulations, Manchester City. Every year they come. They compete, they win. And Manchester United, they're looking at the history, the 13 league titles. If Guardiola stays, that number is in serious trouble. And people talk about City not having history. They're creating history right now. I would rather live in history than talk about the history that happened 30, 40 years ago. They're living it and they're doing it. So just big up to them overall, Arsenal.
Yeah. Guys, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thoughts and prayers for James, maybe. And until next time, we'll see you.